What is going on, everybody? It is Mike Charlotte once again coming at you on my website, MikeJC on Wrestling.com. And today I'm going to be discussing a few things today because there's a couple of things that I want to talk about that are going on in the world of wrestling. And I just felt like it was the time to do another one of these. I know usually I only do these to set up pay-per-views and stuff and stuff like that, but I want to talk about some other things going on, and also I'm going to give my full predictions for the newly announced New Japan Cup USA version, where 8 competitors will compete in a tournament to get a future shot at the IWGP United States Championship. So I will be discussing that later. The first thing that I want to talk about is the recent newly announced singles run of Big E. This has been something that I've been wanting for a very long time. And, since the inception of the New Day, it's always been, we are the tag team champions, we are everything together, blah, blah, blah. And none of them, until Kofi got his WWE title run, really had a real singles run. Then Kofi got his WWE title run, and that was different for them. And now WWE is doing a thing where Xavier's out indefinitely for the time being. Kofi's going to be out for a little while. So Big E's alone. And instead of doing what they always do when a tag team partner or more than one tag team partner is out and leaving Big E on the sidelines, it's finally time for him to break out and do something on his own. Be his own man and finally get that singles run that he so rightfully deserves. A lot of us have been very outspoken about the fact that how good Big E is. And he really is the total package. He can talk better than most people on the roster. His in-ring work is phenomenal for a guy his size. He's agile for a guy his size. He can really do it all. And I have been clamoring for a singles run out of him. And I'm so happy that it's finally happening. But the thing that I don't want to happen, and a thing that a lot of people seem to think needs to happen for it to work, is that he needs to change his character. And I don't think that that's the case. We saw it with Kofi. Kofi was serious when he had to be, and he was still being himself while being in the New Day. And the difference will be here is that when Kofi was champion, he had his New Day buddies with him at all times. Big E doesn't have that. But that doesn't mean he has to change himself to have a singles run. The New Day have gone on record numerous times, more times than I can count, on their own podcasts, in other interviews, stating that they never want to break up. And WWE doesn't look like they want them to break up either. They are a group that brings in money, attracts all ages of fans, and they're possibly the most successful group in the history of WWE as far as, the tenure, the number of tag team title reigns. Now, could they be the most successful group ever if maybe Big E got a singles title run here and there, got a WWE or a Universal Championship? And Will Kofi ever get another one? Will Xavier ever break out to do singles stuff when he comes back? We'll never, it's very possible. I think Xavier's ceiling is US or Intercontinental, and that's fine for him. But as far as Big E goes, Big E is a Universal Champion in the making. Big E is a WWE Champion in the making. And stripping away what he is now and what has made him one of the most popular acts in WWE doesn't need to be taken away. Big E is perfect the way he is, and if you watch this most recent SmackDown, he had his first singles match alone by himself, came out to the New Day's music and everything. Obviously he's going to come out to the New Day's music, but he didn't come out and was like, oh, I'm doing, and just said, sure, he did a promo, oh, I'm doing this for Xavier, I'm doing this for Kofi, but he came out and he was still Big E. He basically log rolled all the way down the ramp, which was hilarious, and then actually had a good match with the likes of The Miz, which is very hard to do because The Miz doesn't have a lot of good matches. And he finished the match with a submission, something that Big E has never done ever. He's changing up his act, he's changing up his in-ring work, but he doesn't need to change up who he is. And I'm completely fine with the New Day being together forever and doing things like this. Kofi got a title run, and the New Day were fine. Big E is by himself, still part of the New Day, and they're going to be fine again. Now, sure, maybe down the line, the New Day as a whole will have a character change, but they absolutely never, ever need to break up. They never need to change who they are in as far as being the New Day. If they ever go heel again, sure, it'll be a little different, but it's still the New Day. And I think no matter what, fans are going to cheer for them at this point. But Big E deserves everything that he's getting. And if they're not going to go with Matt Riddle versus AJ Styles at SummerSlam, I say build up Big E for a couple of weeks, get him a number one contenders match, and have him face AJ at SummerSlam. Because the Intercontinental title deserves to be showcased. And I don't know what's going on with that belt. I don't know what's going on with who AJ's going to face. I don't know if Daniel Bryan's going to be at SummerSlam. I don't know what the plan... I mean, obviously, nobody knows the plans but WWE. But there is no reason why you can't have Big E in that kind of big match right out the gate. That's how good he is, and we know he can have good matches. We know how good Big E is, and he could have a hell of a match with AJ. And, hell, have him win. That would be a perfect way to start off his big singles run. Have him beat AJ at SummerSlam. That would be great for him. That would skyrocket him to the point right off the bat as a singles competitor, and it would only be uphill from there unless Vince McMahon ruins it, which we know he has a very good chance of doing. But regardless, give Big E the rub that he deserves. Give Big E the run that he deserves. And when the New Day comes back, I say that Kofi and Xavier can be the tag team guys. Big E is being wasted as the tag team guy when he should have been the singles guy from the beginning. And don't get me wrong, I loved Kofi's championship reign, except for the way it ended. And I was happy that he finally got that. But Big E is the star of this group. Big E needs this more than any of the three. And the best way to get him rolling right off the bat is put him in a feud with AJ Styles. It beats AJ Styles for the IC title. Have it go for another month or two. I mean, not that long, but at least another pay-per-view. Have AJ is such a good heel and such a good heater that his promos alone about the way he, if he lost to Big E and all that, would be amazing. And it's something different that SmackDown desperately needs. SmackDown is in a very bad way right now. SmackDown is horrible right now. They have nobody to contend for a championship that anybody cares about. They're making Jeff Hardy look stupid. They're making Jeff Hardy... They want us to have sympathy for Jeff Hardy. And nobody cares about this storyline that they're slapping on him. They're slapping the get sympathy for this guy because he has issues deal. And it's not working. Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about Sheamus at all. Nobody cares about Braun Strowman as champion. He's horrible as a face. And Bray Wyatt does not need to be champion. There's literally nobody that anybody cares about on SmackDown except Sasha and Bayley. And that is a problem. And there is talent on both shows. There might be too much talent on Raw that they just decided to put over there for no reason. Why they moved Mustafa Ali, I'll never know. Why they moved Apollo Crews, I'll never know. When you could have had those guys doing stuff on SmackDown. Sure, Apollo Crews is the US champ now, blah, blah, blah. But SmackDown is desperate for talent. Nobody cares about anybody on SmackDown. And that's a problem. And Vince McMahon obviously doesn't care if we care. Shinsuke Nakamura is not special anymore, and he's in a tag team, and there's no tag teams on SmackDown. Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro are two guys who should be singles and should be high-level heels, or at least one of them should be high-level heels in singles, are tag team champions on a show that has no tag teams. Heavy Machinery is doing nothing because Otis won Money in the Bank and Tucker is just there. And Otis is doing this stupid thing with Mandy that's getting really annoying really quickly. Forgotten Sons, not even on TV because of the Jackson Riker thing, which really isn't fair to Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake, but that's besides the point. Usos, injured. New Day, injured. There's no tag teams on SmackDown. There's nothing on SmackDown worth talking about except Bayley and Sasha. So doing this with Big E, full circle, coming back to this, Big E is a star. And having him feud with AJ and winning the IC title and doing that for a considerable amount of time helps build a new singles star. Big E is already a star, but he's not a singles star, and he needs to be. And it's undeniable. It's undeniable. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that are undeniable in WWE that WWE just chooses not to do. For whatever reason, because it's WWE. I'll never understand it, but that's the way it is. This cannot be ruined. Big E is this good. So, I hope that happens for him. As you can tell, I'm very adamant about it, talking about it for 15 minutes. But moving on, the next thing I want to talk about is SummerSlam. SummerSlam is taking place on August 23rd. So it's 3 weeks from today. And I have no idea where the show is going. We have 2 matches announced already. It's Angel Garza and Andrade getting Raw Tag Team title opportunities against the Street Profits, which makes 0 sense considering the Street Profits beat Angel Garza and Andrade in a non-title match the week before. Why that warranted them being in a number 1 contender match the following week, I'll never know. But again, that's WWE logic for you. You lose a match to the champions, you get a number 1 contenders match anyway. Makes 0 sense, but it happened. And then we got Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. I can't wait for that match. I can't wait for the coming weeks for the feud. I'm excited about it. Drew better win. Randy Orton is very hot right now, but he does not need to beat Drew. Sure, Randy can have another title run down the line, and there's no reason why you can't build him back up after the fact, but he does not need to beat Drew. Drew's title reign has not been great, because everybody that he's faced didn't deserve to face him for that belt. He faced Seth Rollins the first pay-per-view after Mania. Seth Rollins lost at Mania. What did he do to deserve that title shot? Meant nothing. He faced Bobby Lashley. Also lost at Mania. And it was a fine feud and it was a fine match. But still, what did Bobby Lashley do to deserve that title shot? Nothing. And then the exact same thing happens with Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler gets traded over to Raw after AJ is sent to SmackDown, and he says that he deserves a title shot because he brought back Drew McIntyre, when that is a bold-faced lie, and anybody with a brain knows that isn't true. And saying that he deserved a championship match because he brought Drew McIntyre to Raw is stupid. It's insulting, and it's irrelevant. The entire storyline was dumb. The fact that Dolph Ziggler asked for another match against Drew for no reason, and Drew just gave it to him, was stupid. The fact that Randy Orton did his promo calling out Drew before that match was even stupider, because we knew that Drew would be winning, and we knew that Randy Orton would end up showing up after the match and attacking Drew. This is another thing that you can add to the very long list of things that WWE does that they need to stop. I don't want to be told that it's going to be Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam. Then you have a match the same exact night with Drew facing someone else and telling me where Randy Orton's going to be at the same time. Why should I care? If you're going to just tell me how it's going to go. Why should I care? Give me a reason to care. I care about this feud and I care about this match, but starting the feud like that is dumb. It's very dumb. Because Randy Orton already told me his intentions. So why should I care about Drew McIntyre having a main event match against Dolph Ziggler again when it shouldn't have happened in the first place, when I know that Randy Orton's just going to show up later? Why? Why should I care? And the rest of SummerSlam is completely up in the air. Nobody knows where anything is going right now. There's no huge women's feud that you could think about. That Sasha and Bayley have all the belts, and I love that. I love that Sasha and Bayley are on top of the world right now, because they are the best thing going in WWE today. bar none. Out of everything going on, Sasha and Bayley are the best thing in WWE right now. And that is undeniable. And the fact that I have no idea what either of them is doing at SummerSlam is mind-boggling to me. There's no big tag team for them to feud with. There's nobody on either brand that really deserves a title shot. So what are you doing with them? Now, I would absolutely love if both of them worked double duty. And you start building a storyline where one of them loses and the other one wins. And then they also lose the tag titles. And then only one of them has a belt now. And that would have to be Bayley. Bayley would have to keep the women's title on SmackDown because she's been the most dominant champion out of everybody on either show. And so you have them defend every championship at SummerSlam, double duty, both of them. Sasha loses the Raw Women's Championship, hopefully to Asuka, because nobody else on Raw really deserves it right now. Not Nia. Not Shayna. Shayna's not ready yet. She needs to be built up again. I don't know what they're doing with Ruby Riott or Bianca Belair. Nobody knows what they're doing with them. Liv Morgan's been absent for over a month now. They seem to have given up on her, which is very aggravating. Nobody cares about Natty. Nobody cares about Lana. So who would get the next the Raw Women's Championship match except Asuka? It has to be Asuka. And there has to be a definitive match and a definitive winner, unlike the count-out finish that they did last week, which I hated, even though I wanted Sasha to win. But obviously Sasha versus Asuka needs to happen in a rematch at SummerSlam. That's the only way to go at this point. As far as who Bayley would face, I have absolutely no idea. There's literally nobody on SmackDown building any momentum. I guess Sonya? But they haven't... Sonya's been absent for over a month. And they're still doing this stupid feud with Mandy that I hate. So I don't know how you would even set up that match. So who would Bayley defend her championship against? It's not going to be Naomi. Naomi... Say what you want about Naomi. And I've written my piece about this, and I've talked about it in detail recently. The Naomi deserves better movement. Would make more sense if Naomi was on every match. And I tweeted this yesterday. The reason that Naomi doesn't get the same opportunities that people like Charlotte and Sasha and Becky and Bayley get is because every single show we get a different Naomi. We get today she's on her game and this was great and this was amazing. And then you have matches like this past SmackDown where it looks like she doesn't care in there. And she messes up a move that would have looked amazing if she pulled it off. But it ended badly. So why should I care about giving Naomi an opportunity? That's the problem with Naomi. She's feuding with Lacey Evans, who's back to being a heel randomly for no reason. And she doesn't deserve a championship match either. Nikki Cross just had her second straight championship match. She lost again. So she's back of the line. Alexa Bliss is not doing anything. Apparently she's going to be integrated into this Braun Bray feud, which I will discuss. And So who on SmackDown should face Bayley at SummerSlam? There's really nobody else. Tamina, no. Naomi, no. Lacey, no. Nikki, no. Alexa, no. So who? My only choice would have to be a multi-person match. I would feel like you do a storyline where, and again, let me just, this is not my idea, this is just credit of, I've actually heard this a couple of places, but I most recently heard it from Sean Ross Sapp at Fightful. Have Bayley be in a multi-person match and make it seem like she's getting overwhelmed, but she still pulls off the victory. And that seems like the only thing that you can do with Bayley right now. I don't know how you pull it off where all those people deserve title shots. Clearly WWE doesn't care about that, so I guess it doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, if I had to guess, it would probably be Sonya, Mandy, Naomi, and Lacey. I guess I mean, I'm completely fine with it just being Mandy and Sonya in a triple threat. I think that's at least different, because I don't want to see a Mandy versus Sonya match one-on-one on a SummerSlam card. That is just not a SummerSlam match that I want to see. So yeah, I that's the only thing and as far as the tag team championship, I have absolutely no idea who they could face. Ruby and Bianca, maybe? They're building up some kind of friendship, which is kind of weird. It should be Ruby and Liv, but it's Ruby and Bianca. I guess them. I don't know who they would defend the tag titles against, to be honest. Because they're not building tag teams anymore. Again. Alexa and Nikki are the only tag team. And the Iconics don't want to see them face Bayley and Sasha again. There aren't any other tag teams. There's NXT tag teams, but you wouldn't know if you watched NXT. There's barely any. I think Raquel and Dakota are still together. I think Shotzi and Tegan are friends, but they're both doing something different. They did get a tag title shot at one point, but so they probably shouldn't get another one. But who else is there? So I guess it's got to be Bianca and Ruby. But for that to happen, they would have to win tag matches, because they haven't done that yet. As far as Seth Rollins goes, since we're talking about SummerSlam and where I got nothing. I literally got nothing. They're still doing this stupid storyline where he or Buddy Murphy are gouging people's eyes and whatever. I don't know why that's the thing that they're sticking with when nobody, not a single person, liked that Rey Mysterio Seth Rollins spot. Not a single person. People laughed at it because it was dumb. And we all hated it. Everybody hated it. So why they had Buddy Murphy do the exact same thing to Alistair made no sense to me. And then they beat the shit out of Alistair. And he's writing on Twitter that he's teasing some kind of character change. Why? Why should I care? Give me a reason to care. You recently hurt Alistair really badly because you chose not to acknowledge the fact that he had a 1.5 year long winning streak in singles matches and then just ended it for no reason. Why? To push this stupid Monday Night Messiah agenda that I have no idea where it's going. Nobody has any idea, obviously, and I guess I'm not supposed to know. And sure, but not knowing and worrying about it ending badly are two different things, and that's where I am. worrying about it ending badly. Just like everything on Raw and SmackDown at this point. So what do? Do you bring Rey Mysterio back early and have some kind of tag match? Rey and Dominic versus Buddy and Seth? Do you bring Alistair back and do Seth versus Alistair in a pay-per-view match? I mean, I'd rather that than the tag match that I just mentioned. The tag match that I just mentioned is not a SummerSlam match. It's just not. That's a Raw match at best. It doesn't feel like a SummerSlam match. I mean, I get what they're trying to get Dominic there, and Dominic is, maybe he is, I don't know. I've never seen him work a match. But that is not a SummerSlam match. So I don't know. I honestly would prefer a Seth versus Alistair match with Alistair getting the win back. And hopefully Alistair moving on from it, because I just don't know what's going on here. I really don't. And then you have the U.S. title picture. Alistair. Apollo Crews was supposed to defend against MVP, but he was unable to appear at Extreme Rules because reportedly he has had COVID-19 and now he just hasn't come back yet. MVP is supposedly the U.S. champ, but they're not really acknowledging whether that's the case or not. So what do? Another Apollo versus MVP match? Apollo versus Mustafa? Mustafa versus Apollo versus Mustafa versus MVP? MVP should not be on the card at SummerSlam. That's my thing. But it appears that that's going to happen. I don't know where Lashley fits into this. Does anybody have any idea what Lashley is doing? They brought Mustafa Ali back last week, got him a win in a 6-man where he pinned the supposed U.S. champ MVP, and then lost immediately the following week to Bobby Lashley, which I predicted would happen. Why would you do that? Why would you bring back a guy only to beat him immediately? And make it seem like a big deal that he's back. You have a... I spoke about this recently in my most recent article, talking about guys that I don't think will be WWE or Universal Champion as long as Vince McMahon is in charge. And I discussed how Mustafa Ali is one of the best all-around talents on the entire roster. The way he articulates his promos, the way he moves in the ring, everything that he does is star-worthy. And you do that. Why would you do that to him? And I mentioned in that same article, he should be on SmackDown feuding with AJ right now. And the fact that he isn't is ridiculous. But what do you... I can't even fathom what you do for the U.S. Championship at SummerSlam. Can't even fathom it, because whatever it is, it's going to probably suck. And then you have Bobby Lashley. What is Bobby Lashley doing at SummerSlam? You had him beat Mustafa Ali for no reason, so obviously you're building him to something. What is it? A match with Brock Lesnar? As long as there's no belt, I'd love to see that. If that match is a non-title match and it's an actual grudge match for something, whatever, like why isn't it Bobby Lashley called out Brock Lesnar at this point? It should have happened already. Brock Lesnar, what, doesn't want to work? Shocker. Shocking, I know. I just don't... How am I... SummerSlam is supposed to be like the second biggest pay-per-view of the entire year. And despite the fact that, yes, we're in this situation that we're all in and we've had these shows since March with no audience, it blows my mind. It really does. it blows my mind that this is happening the way that it is. And it blows my mind that SummerSlam doesn't feel important. SummerSlam just feels like another day in wrestling that is gonna be bad. And I don't want that. And then you have this stupid Universal Championship feud that is still going on between Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman. And I just don't care about that match anymore. I don't care about Braun Strowman as Universal Champion. He should not be the Universal Champion. He did not deserve to beat Goldberg, especially since Goldberg never should have been champion in the first place. I understand that it was supposed to be Roman Reigns. I understand that that's the best thing that they thought they could do at that point. It was not the right move because Braun Strowman is a horrible champion as a face. He sounds stupid every time he talks. He is horrible in the ring when it comes to actually having a match. All he knows how to do is run in circles and mow people down and do a power slam. That's not entertaining to me anymore. It hasn't been for a while. And everything that Braun Strowman is doing is bad. And I hate it. I hate it. And I don't care about this stupid agenda that they have. Oh, well, you were part of my family at one point, and blah, blah, blah. And oh, I drowned you, and now I'm going to attack the girl that you had a crush on. And why? Why should I care? And, notice the theme of the build to SummerSlam. Why should I care? That's the theme of the build to SummerSlam. And they haven't given me a reason to care about this at all. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. I don't even care if Bray wins because, like I said earlier, Bray should not be champion. You ruined that by having him lose to Goldberg. He didn't need it before. He doesn't need it now. But you're supposed to make me care about The Fiend when you had The Fiend lose to a 50-plus guy who should not wrestle. Ever. So why should I care about The Fiend beating Braun Strowman? I don't know. I don't know how I could care about that. I don't know how anybody could care about that and find joy in that, because it's bad. It's really, really bad. So, I don't know what to think about SummerSlam. I don't know what to expect. I don't know where they think they're going to get a SummerSlam caliber card in the next 3 weeks with only 2 matches announced. But I am very, very concerned that it's going to suck. And that's sad because it's SummerSlam. And as I mentioned earlier, the last thing, well, actually, there's 2 more things about SummerSlam that I do not want. Number 1 is Matt Riddle versus Baron Corbin. That does not sound like a SummerSlam match. That sounds like a SmackDown match that should have happened already. Because just like Braun Strowman is champion, nobody cares about Baron Corbin. This thing with Baron Corbin, he's still doing the King gimmick. Still. He did this horrible promo last week where he said that Matt Riddle didn't deserve to say his name because he was new and that he needed seasoning and that he needed to get on a list to call him out. That was the worst promo I've ever heard. Ever. And the person who wrote that should lose their job. Because I know that he didn't write that. Baron Corbin at least is smart enough to know that that was dumb. He was just doing his job. But the King gimmick needs to go. It's needed to go for a very, very long time, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse, and it's not getting better. I don't know what this thing is that he's doing now, where he's got a bounty out or whatever, and he's hiring people to take out Matt Riddle. That's dumb. I don't know what they're doing. I just don't get it. And like I said, Matt Riddle should be in a much more high-profile match at SummerSlam. He shouldn't be facing Baron Corbin at SummerSlam. Nobody cares about Baron Corbin. So what do you do with Matt Riddle at SummerSlam? I don't know. But this isn't it. He already lost to AJ in a title match, so they're not going to do that again. That was dumb. I don't know why they did that then. They should have saved that for SummerSlam. That would have made too much sense, though. Because you know WWE, get it out of the way so we don't have to worry about it. Oh, it doesn't matter. He can lose his second match on SmackDown. Who cares? They won't care. That's the Vince McMahon state of mind, I guess. And I hate it. I hate it so much. I really do. I just want to care. That's what I want. I want to care. And Vince McMahon clearly does not. And then you have this thing with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. That's another match that I don't need at SummerSlam, that I could see on Raw next week and be done with it. Shayna Baszler needs to be built up because for whatever reason she was off TV since May. It's now August. The reasoning, couldn't even tell you. I think Vince McMahon forgot that she worked for him. I think that's a very likely possibility, considering that the man who runs the company is 75 years old. And just decides on a whim sometimes that he doesn't care about people, or forgets that they work for him. Like recently in an interview, EC3 said that Vince McMahon had no recollection of him working for WWE previously as Derek Bateman. That does not surprise me at all. All of this is bad, and it needs to stop. Shayna Baszler is too good to be wasted like this, and having her face Nia Jax at SummerSlam is like, just have the match on Raw. I don't care to see that at SummerSlam. That's a waste of time. And it shouldn't be a 7-minute back and forth like, oh, I'm bigger than you, so I'm gonna do this. Don't do that. Shayna Baszler should beat her in less than a minute. And that's a fact. There is no other way that match should go, ever. But knowing WWE, they'll have the match at SummerSlam. Nia Jax will be in control for half of the match, and then somehow Shayna will get her off her feet and choke her out. That's what will happen, and it'll be bad, because that would be the wrong thing to do. So, I've probably talked about this for way too long, but I have no idea where SummerSlam is going. Kind of went all over the map while talking about it, but it is what it is. That's kind of how it feels that they're going at this point. They don't know where SummerSlam is going, and they don't seem to care either. So why should I care? Why should I be talking about it as long as I have? I guess that's the other thing. So moving on. I don't think there's anything else WWE related that I need to talk about. Alright, well, here's another thing. Before I get into that New Japan Cup USA tournament, where I will be predicting every single match because there's only 8 competitors. Recently, I've noticed, well, not recently, but really since the beginning, there are people on social media, mainly Twitter, who are anti-AEW or anti-WWE to the point where they'll make excuses for things just because they are anti that other thing. And I've been saying this for a while. A real wrestling fan watches both, a real wrestling fan enjoys both, and a real wrestling fan critiques both. If you are that person that only watches AEW and criticizes NXT for doing something that AEW did the week before, you're stupid. If you are that person that only watches NXT and critiques AEW for doing something that NXT did the week before or something that happened on Raw, you're stupid. Because those are both bad. And it is not okay, in my opinion. And let me just say out the bat, I'm not calling anybody in particular stupid. I'm just saying that being a homer or being a, apologist for one or the other is stupid. That's what's stupid. And it is not okay to say that if AEW does something WWE would do, that just because AEW is only a year old, oh, they have to learn from it. They're a new company. That is not true. Because if you pay attention, they have been saying since day one that we want to be an alternative for you guys. We want to be different. We want to be wrestling to the purest extent. Now, if that is true, then they should know what not to do. So, in that case, that means that them doing stupid stuff is not okay. Because they just told me that they wanted to be an alternative. So why should I care about if they do something stupid and say, oh, it's only been a year. They'll learn from it. No. They should know already. Because they know that it's dumb. And I've gotten into it with numerous people on Twitter about this exact thing. I'm not going to bend over backwards for this. AEW is wrong for doing those things. And they deserve to be criticized for doing those things. And again, I am not a homer. I like both. And obviously, I've been criticizing WWE for over 40 minutes. So, if you think that I'm a WWE apologist, you're an idiot. The point is that I just want wrestling to be good. I just want wrestling to be enjoyed by everybody. And I'm tired of people saying that, for example, people saying like, oh, NXT just did this last week, but you're going to criticize AEW for it? Or, oh, AEW just did that, but if NXT's going to... Stop it. They're both wrong. Both of those are wrong. Because no matter what, if either company does something stupid, it should be criticized. Not, oh, I love NXT, so AEW shouldn't do that. Or, oh, I love AEW, so just the fact that it's not WWE, that's fine. No, that's not okay. And that needs to stop, especially on social media. I am so tired of it. And don't tell me to get off Twitter. Don't tell me, oh, you should just block those people. Don't tell me that I'm wrong, because I am not. It is ridiculous that people do that. Ridiculous. Now, I can understand people being fed up with WWE for the things that they've done, but as a real fan, as a true fan, you should be able to endure those things. And again, I just complained about WWE for 40 plus minutes. And I still watch every single show. Raw, NXT, SmackDown. The shows that matter. And I watch AEW also. And AEW does not get a pass because they are not WWE. That is all I'm saying. That is my point. I am not critiquing AEW just to critique AEW. Whatever it is, if it's bad, I'm going to say it's bad. And that's it. That's the way it is. I'm not giving AEW a pass. Sorry. Not sorry. So, last thing that I am going to discuss today. Thing that I mentioned at the beginning. New Japan Pro Wrestling announced a USA version of the New Japan Cup, where the winner will be facing the IWGP United States Champion at a later date. And the problem with this is the timing. That's my only concern, the timing. They're having this tournament on the 7th, the 14th, and the 21st. And the problem is that we don't know if travel, Jon Moxley is only able to wrestle in New Japan, He cannot appear on television in America for New Japan. So the only way that the winner of this tournament is going to get their title shot is if Jon Moxley travels to Japan. And right now that's not possible. So when are you going to have this title match? But regardless, the tournament has 8 people in it, and I think the majority of these people were supposed to be in the original New Japan Cup. The majority of them. I know Jay White was supposed to be in it, and he wasn't in it either, and he isn't in this one either. Probably because he's in Australia, I'm assuming. I don't know that. But anyway, there is 8 competitors, and I will go through the matches as I announce the competitors. So the first match is Carl Fredericks versus Kenta. Carl Fredericks recently graduated from the LA Dojo of New Japan, and if you've watched their recent shows on New Japan World called Lions Break Collision, which is basically just a small American New Japan show that they've been doing for the time being because they can't get their American talents to Japan. Carl Fredericks recently has had some kind of, he's new graduate. He's pretty athletic for a guy that I've seen, a guy his size. He had a good match with Jeff Cobb. They kind of had a small little feud off of their history. Jeff Cobb apparently had a hand in training Carl Fredericks, and they got into a little scuffle on the first episode of Lions Break, and now they had a match one-on-one, and it was a pretty good match. Like I said, Carl Fredericks is pretty athletic, and I'm actually pretty excited to see where he goes from here. But he's facing Kenta, and I was very curious as to why Kenta hadn't been at any of the New Japan shows. I guess the answer is because he lives in America. So, and let me just, before I even get into all the matches, there's 4 matches in the tournament, 4 first round matches, and every single one has a member of Bullet Club. So that could play a factor in the results. I don't know. This match could be really good. I haven't seen Carl Fredericks face the likes of Kenta, so this is their first ever meeting. And from what I've seen from Carl Fredericks, he's very athletic for a guy his size, and he could go with guys that are as good or if not better than Kenta. Kenta probably... I don't see... The thing about Kenta, since he came to New Japan and joined the Bullet Club and everything, he kind of had that little thing with Shibata and, you know, got his title shot like right after Tetsuya Naito won the belt, and like ever since then, I mean, yes, we had a pandemic and everything, so I kind of don't know where he goes from here. I mean, I could definitely see him winning this match and possibly the entire tournament, to be honest, because he's got to do something. Jon Moxley's U.S. title reign has kind of been cursed. First title win, got injured or had a staph infection, I believe, and couldn't travel and defend the belt. So he got stripped of the belt and then got it back at Wrestle Kingdom. And then a pandemic happened. So he literally has not been able to defend the U.S. title since winning it again. So I just don't... I mean, I don't want to see him, you know, face somebody else and then lose it again and then win it back again. If he wants to keep working in New Japan once he's able to travel there, that's fine. But he doesn't need to keep winning and losing that belt over and over and over again. So the next match is Jeff Cobb versus Tonga Loa. I mean, this match I think seems pretty obvious who's going to win. Tonga Loa has been a tag team guy his entire run in New Japan. I don't think they see anything in him as a singles guy. And Jeff Cobb is Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb is so good for... I mean, the guy is, what, almost 300 plus pounds, and he can do the things that he does. He's ridiculous at how good he is. His matches with... I mean, he's had matches with Moxley before, and they had good matches. He's... last year in the G1, he looked pretty good. There's not enough that could be said about how good Jeff Cobb is. With that said, he's definitely going to beat Tonga Loa. Tonga Loa is great at what he does, but he's not going to face Jon Moxley for the title, a singles title. It's pretty obvious he's kind of in the fall guy role as far as like singles matches as Bullet Club members goes. So yeah, I think Jeff Cobb is going to win that match easily. I don't think it'll be a horrible match. I just don't see Tonga Loa standing a chance. The next match in the first round is David Finlay versus Chase Owens. And this is an intriguing one because I feel like they've been trying to do more with Chase Owens before the pandemic. They were trying to get him wins and trying to make him seem more like a threat to people instead of just the jobber of Bullet Club, because that's what he was for a long time. Just the jobber of Bullet Club. And David Finlay, he's been, teaming with Juice Robinson, who is not in this tournament. Teaming with Juice Robinson, and that's it. He hasn't really had a lot of chances to showcase himself as a singles guy. So, I don't know. This is the one that I'm the most up in the air about, but I think I'm going to pick David Finlay. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to pick David Finlay. I think that having Chase Owens win here would be, I don't know, it would just be odd. I don't know, I really don't know why. I think it's got more to do with the next match, which I'll get into. But, yeah, I just don't see Chase Owens going far in this right now. I mean, and like I said, it doesn't really matter who wins this because Jon Moxley can't defend the belt in America, which is kind of funny if you think about it. Can't defend the U.S. title in the U.S. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Chase Owens. I think this will be a pretty good match. These guys have worked before and had pretty good matches. As far as, like, tag matches go, their only singles meeting, Chase actually has the win. So New Japan kind of likes to 50-50 book as far as those things. I mean, especially with Okada, but Okada's not here. So, I mean, I think David Finlay's going to get the win. And the final match in the first round is Brody King going one-on-one with Tama Tonga. And I mentioned just before that I don't think Chase Owens is going to win because I think Tama Tonga is going to win here. And I don't think they want to have a Bullet Club versus Bullet Club match. Brody King was I assume is still part of Villain Enterprises. I haven't watched ROH in so long, and I don't even think they've been running since the pandemic. Still a part of Villain Enterprises, and everything that I saw from him, for the most part, when I was watching ROH, was good. He's worked in New Japan. I believe, wasn't he in G1 last year also? He was doing something with New Japan last year. But I just don't know. I mean, part of me wants to see Tama Tonga win this whole entire thing because Tama Tonga is that good. And I feel like he's being wasted by being forced to team with his brother. I mean, I don't think that he cares about that. He probably doesn't. He probably would do that forever. But Tama Tonga is the one guy that I thought would break out of Bullet Club after the whole thing with the Elite happened, and it just didn't happen. That first G1 that they did, they got DQ'd in almost every match, and then it went nowhere. So I don't know. Tama Tonga deserves better. And that is true, because that's how good, like, he should be a U.S. champion. He should be an Intercontinental champion. And right now, I mean, Evil's the world champion. So, and I don't know if Tama Tonga will ever be world champion in New Japan. I don't know if they see that for him. But is he good enough? Absolutely. Brody King is not going to be in New Japan all the time. I mean, unless they do something with, ROH and New Japan. I mean, we haven't seen anybody from ROH. Again, there's a pandemic going on, so travel is not really able to happen right now. I don't know what the stance is with that relationship. I don't know what they think about ROH. At this point, ROH, like I said, it's not running shows. So, I don't know. I just don't think that Brody King is the guy to win this. It has to be a New Japan guy. that's kind of why I'm like very up in the air about like others going farther in this match. Like as far as I mean, there's only one other ROH guy, and that's Jeff Cobb. But yeah, I think Tama Tonga will win, and it will definitely be a good match. Brody King is great for a guy like, again, I sound like a broken record, but a lot of these big guys are very athletic. Brody King is a very big guy, and he's very athletic for his size, and he's had great matches in the past with these guys. I believe he's faced Tama Tonga before, and they've had, whether it's in tags or whatever, but they've had good matches from what I remember. I just don't see Brody King going that far. Not right now. It's just, it wouldn't make sense. So, like I said, I'm going to predict every match. So that's every first round match. The second round, as based on my predictions from earlier, the next match would be Kenta versus Jeff Cobb. Now, if that happens, again, I don't know if these are going to go the way I say, obviously. I never know when it comes to predictions. Kenta versus Jeff Cobb has the potential to be an amazing match because of how their styles kind of mesh together. Kenta being the smaller of the two and being the striker, and Jeff Cobb being the powerhouse / athlete. It has the makings to be a great match that I think Jeff Cobb is going to win. Kenta, like I said earlier, I don't know where he's going to go from here. At this point, he kind of just seems like a lackey for the Bullet Club. And that isn't right. He doesn't deserve that. But the Intercontinental title's kind of, being held by the world champion. They're elevating that belt to that stance. So it's like, what else is there for him to do when they're able to travel? Like, the Never Openweight title? Nobody cares about the Never Openweight title. The Never Openweight title's a pointless title. It's just there. But I kind of, like I said, I don't know when this final match is going to happen. Whoever wins is going to face Moxley, and it has to be in Japan. And when is that going to happen? Either way, like, I don't know if Kenta is the guy that should do that. Now, like I said, Kenta could win the entire thing. And I could be completely wrong. But I think Jeff Cobb is going to win here to go on to the finals because New Japan seems to be very high on Jeff Cobb as far as I can tell. The way they've portrayed him on Lions Break Collision and the way they've used him in the past, they seem to be very high on him, and I could see him actually signing an exclusive deal with New Japan down the line if he wanted to. I just don't. I don't know. I'm picking Jeff Cobb to win here, just because I really don't know what to do with Kenta. I really don't, and I hate that it's probably going to be Never Openweight, but it is what it is at this point. The Intercontinental title, like I said, is being held by the world champion, so that's kind of getting in the way of giving other people opportunities. So yeah, Jeff Cobb going to the finals. And then the other semifinal match, Tama Tonga versus David Finlay. Now, as I said before, Tama Tonga deserves better. And I think that a U.S. title match or title run would be great for him, because he needs something different. I'm tired of him and his brother always just getting tag title shots for no reason and winning them and then losing them immediately and then winning them again and then losing them again. Or them holding the 6-man belts forever. And again, nobody cares about the 6-man belts either. Nobody cares about the 6-man titles. Tama Tonga needs to do more. and he needs to do more right now. And him winning this match is getting him to the finals and getting him to a point where he needs to be, where he should have been already. And David Finlay, I don't know if they see anything for him as a single star. I mean, him and Juice Robinson have been a pretty good team, and I think that they are better off staying that way once everything's back to normal and guys are able to travel and get back to the shows and everything. I think that Juice and Finlay deserve an extended tag title run instead of the one that they had where they lost the belts immediately. And that's where I see those two at this point. Tama Tonga needs more. Tama Tonga's been there a while and he deserves more. And that's why he should win this match. And I'm sure this match will be fine. These two have faced in the past and it's always been good. I never disliked the Tama Tonga David Finlay match or Juice and Finlay match versus Gorillas of Destiny. Never. They've always done pretty well. And I think that this match in particular could be a good way for Tama Tonga to showcase his abilities. And then going on into the finals where he would face Jeff Cobb. Now, would he beat Jeff Cobb? That I think he should win. Because, like I said, I mean, we've seen Moxley versus Jeff Cobb. We've never seen Moxley versus Tama Tonga. Moxley versus Tama Tonga could be a hell of a match. And Moxley knows how to work with the likes of anyone, really. He knows how to have good matches. We've seen him work with Brian Cage just recently, and he had a pretty good match. I don't want to see him face Jeff Cobb again. I kind of want to see him get an opportunity to face somebody like Tama Tonga. And Tama Tonga should win this tournament and should win the belt for a matter of fact. Like, Tama Tonga needs to do more. And and like I said over and over again, I'm tired of Tama Tonga just being a guy in Bullet Club who teams with his brother and gets random tag title shots or holds the 6-man titles that nobody cares about. Have him do more. It's time for Tama Tonga to break out, and winning the U.S. title could be the right thing for him. So that's what I think about the New Japan Cup USA version. Winner getting a U.S. Championship match. Tama Tonga should win, face Jon Moxley whenever he's able to face Jon Moxley, and win that belt and carry it for a decent amount of time. So that's going to do it for me, guys. This is the longest audio that I've ever done. Almost an hour and 15 at this point. And I am tired of talking. So, thank you for listening if you have listened from the beginning. And thank you for supporting me if you are and enjoy what I'm doing. Enjoy what I have to say. Continue to follow the website, MikeJCOnWrestling.com, for more audio, more writings, more things like this from me. And I'm sure you'll get a lot more of complaining about WWE. That's just the way it is right now. But for now, thank you for listening. Thank you again for the support. Follow me on Twitter at MikeJC821. And that's going to do it for me. Thanks.